Ancheta from SF Garnish Music Production and Soul Graffiti Studios. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday morning. Every Wednesday, we're here from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. talking about digital audio workstations in Ableton Live, 11, Pro Tools, Logic. We have mixing, mastering, sound design. Our whole academy is available. Check it out at sf.garnishmusicproduction.com. And thank you to the Garnish Music Network worldwide for having us out once again on our Wednesday show. And just to let you guys know, we really appreciate the extra support out there. So give yourselves a round of applause. Please click the like and subscribe icon if you can. Please share it with your friends that you think might enjoy this. And we have our online and in-person courses year-round. So check it out when you can. This is West Coast Wednesdays. That's right. And we're going to get into just setting up digital audio workstation, Ableton Live. Specifically, this is part 2 of 4, talking about live show setups in Ableton Live, prepping sessions for unique looping techniques, effects, and backing track possibilities. Last time we talked about some things for upcoming show with Honey of the Heart on November 4th. And we're going to be kind of prepping these tracks for that show in San Francisco. It's a Leonard Cohen tribute show. If you guys want to check that out, go to honeyoftheheart.com. And so going into the session now, we are in Ableton 11. And we have a couple things in arrangement view. What I did since last time is I recorded just a take of a couple different things, some sound effects here. This is a belly slap and kick, which literally is a belly slap. I want to get more of like a slappy sound on the snare. And then also the kick was hitting the microphone. There's just let's see, what kind of mic is that? A Sennheiser 935 that we just tapped. And we put a drum bus on it, the one that you see right here, with a nice compression EQ and bump the gain a little bit. So little simple tricks to kind of get that sound. I'll just show you that one because I thought it was pretty funny that the belly slap worked. So it's pretty boomy. We got a lot of this boom on right here. And then also we're picking the frequency down here, about 52, 53 hertz. So in session view, this is where we have the layout that we were able to record what we wanted. We had Marin singing some vocals on this track right here. And we took off all the stop buttons, record buttons, because we were in record mode. As you can see, I was messing around with some of the long reverb and a delay with her main voice. And we also had this master chain effect going on where we had beat repeat and fade to gray kind of coming on and off. These are all automations at a live show that we can purposely put into a set at certain moments. This was all done kind of with improvisation. But for the show, we'd like to have purposeful improvisation and then also spots that are really timed out exactly how we want. Command 4 goes back to time here, our grid. And let's just go ahead and listen to a little bit of this. Take it off solo. Starting off with the beatbox, pretty simple. Here's the guitar, nice EQ. Little chorus. A little more of that.
By fire, by water, in the sunshine, in the nighttime, by high deal, by common try.
You can kind of see the different effects, right? Clicking on it. If you want to see these, you just press the A function on the keyboard to see the automations. It won't work if you have this key on up here, right? So just make sure that you have this key on over here. If it's on, then your keyboard will not work for that shortcut. Turn that off and the A will work.
Something blind,
We have a couple different, this is the lead vocal right here. What's cool is as you're going, you can actually do this. All right, change to lead. Couple little sounds, dropping lid, recorded that. Now, you can kind of see the fade to gray coming on and off. Bouncing around the voice a little bit. As you can see right here, some of this is showing up, right? So our delay. Bringing that down a little bit. Bringing down some of the delay is a little bit much. We can just select that and bring that down. That's a good little delay throw right there. Pressing plus button to get in. Command Shift F to follow the key. All right. So she was talking to me a little bit.
Shall I say it's calling?
Supposed to come in here. 3, 3, 3, 4.
We'll just take that out. It's just a scratch, right? So some of these effects we don't really like that much. We can always just bring it down a little bit. Command 2 makes that a little bit smaller. Command 1, Command 2. Selecting and bringing down. As you can see, our fade to gray is getting more and more. If you want to see what's going on with that fade to gray, you can always open up your device, right, and see what stuff is happening inside of it, right? Fade to gray, boom, right there. So as we were going forward, right, this is kind of coming in slowly. There's also a delay that's also turned on slowly, as you can see this dry wet coming on. So this is where your macros are set to this area right here. So definitely something to kind of check out is if you like a certain rack, you can kind of go in and kind of see what's happening, right? Right click on this dry wet and look at it, it says mapped right here to that area. And then let's see what else is mapped over here. We have our fade to gray also mapped. This fade to gray, mapped cutoff, has a couple different things mapped in here. So, all right. So here we are. We just did a dry run. We don't really know the exact order of our live set yet, but we know that we want to get into like different play of these fade to gray effects and delay throws and reverb throws, or high and low reverbs, you know, long tail reverbs at certain moments in the song. Let's just go ahead and try and bring this into our live set at some point.
Shall I say it's calling? Is it with voice? Shall I say that in breath? Wash my face in the morning dew. Sunlight on me dances. Hey, Luli, my voice is
All right. So we want to find like a whole verse or something, or a whole kind of section of the song. Let's make sure that we have our vocals down really good.
Who shall I say is calling?
So we're going to mark our spots. That's where it changes right there. This is where a verse starts. Just pressing our set button. We can rename this. Rename verse. Sorry if that's pretty small, you guys. Right here is going to be kind of like a bridge. And if you ever want to zoom in, what you're doing is something like this, Command Shift or plus. So right here, we're putting in bridge. Let's say bridge 1 here. And we'll just go back out again. All right. Seeing how long this whole section is. Right there is probably where it could probably end. We kind of went on too long there. A little bit less on the reverb or delay. And this is where our next verse starts. So we obviously have more. I think there's like 6 verses in this song, but we didn't record all of them, and that's okay. We just wanted a little bit of play on these effect chains. And I put this on the master effect for now just because I wanted to, you know, generally put the effects on everything. But we're going to actually put this on the appropriate channel so you can use it for your live show. You don't necessarily want it on your master for your live show for a couple reasons. We'll get to that. All right, so we're going to go in here and select all of the area that we're dealing with here, which is all the way from the top, all the way to the bottom, track, selecting, cutting, Command E, and then Command J. We're going to join. So what that's doing is in the background while I talk to you, is it is joining that whole track together from start to finish, so that when I copy and paste it, they're all going to be the exact same length in session view. All right. So now we're over here, and notice how they're all joined together, right? There's nothing that's half the length, right? So if you ever have a loop like this belly slap was shorter, now look at that length. It's all right there. I'm going to copy it and come over here, and let's go ahead and just start a new line here. So insert scene. Let's do Command I. A few of these. And I'm just going to bring this down, and notice how I'm all the way over to the left on that Sam Hip Hop bass part, which is what we started with. I'm going to go paste, and it matches up because I started over here. If I paste it over from here, it actually wouldn't align. It might not even let you paste. Okay. So this is going to work. Now when I play this, it has all the sound effects and everything that we have in alignment, right? And this is where you would take your master lead vocal and turn that off and have all of your backing. And we'll call this verse. Okay. Now in this verse, the one thing that I noticed that we don't have when we play this is our master effects, because you need that actually on a send return on a track, and have the effects move through a channel to make that happen. All right. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Command T. We're going to make a dummy channel and call this effects all. All right. We're going to go into in mode. Let's see here. I don't want my voice to come through there just yet, but it is because it's on channel 1. Okay. Let's go ahead and move this to anything but that. Okay. We're in mode. Okay. The reason why that was doubling up for a second is that everything on 1, 2 is going through for my feed to you guys. So don't need to go into that too much, but it's mostly for the OBS feed to do this live stream. Now on this channel in mode, we want this external sound coming from a group of everything. Okay. So I'm going to take all the channels that I have, select them start to finish, which is selecting the first one, then pressing Shift on the last one. They're all highlighted. Command G groups those tracks. And I'm just going to call this all. So I know that I can go runk, nice and organized right here. And then I'm going to say I want to send this to effects all. All right. So how this is routed now is this is being sent through this channel. Now what we want to do is take our effects from one location and put them to another location. Our Will Marshall effects is right here on our master chain. And we're going to go ahead and copy, Command C, and then Command V. Boom. They're right here. As a matter of fact, it even copied the automations. In 10, last time I did this did not work. So maybe this is an upgrade that they just did in 11. If so, that's great. But I just want to make sure that we have the right automations going on for the specific part that I'm dealing with. Okay. So let's go ahead and make that. So we're going to take a track like this guitar track. Everything's the same length now. It's all grayed out right here because this is in mode. You're not going to get sound from this. What you're going to get is this dummy track. I'll just take this all the way down to 0. We're not doing anything with audio. Well, just so we can see, I guess, the measures. I guess we do that. But we're not going to hear this track, right? If I solo this, oh, everything's being played through it. Of course, it's going to. So you're hearing all these tracks, but not this. Anyway, so this is our track. And what we want to do is create our automations. Notice how our Will Marshall effects are in here now. And let's find out what it's looking like. All right. So it actually does look like the automations are only on the master chain. Okay. So, and that's good because we want to customize the lengths and specificity specifically to this verse. So going back to session view, we were looking at the verse, right? This first verse right here. Pressing A for automation. And we're looking at, which one are we looking at? Our fade to gray and our beat repeat. Fade to gray is right here. And I think that this one actually might sound really cool if it just kind of like faded completely into just the end, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can do that. You guys can see this? Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you guys are looking right at what I'm looking at here. I'm going to zoom in here and make sure we're doing this properly. So this is our end, right? This our bridge goes right in there. So we want to make this effect completely turn off before the next area. And that's because you don't want to accidentally keep it on, right? Or just make sure that it's in the off mode on the next area of the song. Let's see how that sounds. That's kind of cool. I do like that. All right. So let's just say that is our end of bridge coming through. So we're going to copy over our fade to gray. Notice how we're still on fade to gray. All right. Beat, repeat sound looks totally different. So we're just doing fade to gray at the moment. Oops. Command Z. Don't want that. We're going to copy this whole section. And I'm in Command 4 mode, which is, it's 2 grid. You can kind of see the grid with the hard lines. So it's a lot easier. If you don't do that, you're not going to go exactly to the same length. Copy that over to this dummy grid right here of this guitar. And let's look at this. Let's move my big head up above so you guys can see what I'm doing. Now we're on fade to gray. Now, right from the very beginning, copy and paste. So here it shows up right here the same way. We're going to do that exact same movement for the beat repeat. Going back to our master beat repeat. Let's zoom in. All right. Just want to make sure this is off entirely again. Good. And at the very end, I want to make sure it's off entirely. And there we go. Pretty big movements. We can always adjust these in the future as well. This is kind of a general sketch of our automations. Copy paste, Command C, going over to our session view in our guitar dummy track right there that we brought over, and make sure that we are on the appropriate effect. When you click on this beat masher and go back in here, notice how it's effects beat masher. You can also just go down and click on the next thing, right? But yeah, 2 different ways to get to it. So there's no effects on right now. We're coming from the very beginning, Command V, pasting in, and there's that automation toward the very end. So as we play this, we can now have those effects come in, and right now it's going through all the channels, right? But maybe this is just an effect that you want for your master vocals. So that would be something that you would just turn on for specific, a specific group, such as this one right here. Let's rename this Vocals All. And let's say you just wanted the vocals to come through that channel. Then that's where you would have your audio just go to effects all there, and it would be just vocal effects, right? Vocal effects, etc. You have your different groupings of effects, right? Maybe your drummer effects might sound different than your vocal effects. Some of the stutter effects on the bass, for example, doesn't sound as good as the stutter on that clap. So that might be sent to a separate channel. These are all things that are really going to help out with your live show. Or at the end of the day, you're going to set this up all perfect, and then you're going to bounce it down as simple as possible. Notice how many tracks I have open right here. At your live show, you're going to want to have something a lot simpler than this. You can literally bounce this down to a stereo track and then have your effects on another track. Simple as that. But this is moving toward that step, right? So here we are. Let's go ahead and try this out where I'm going to put my voice on. I'm going to need to get some lyrics up over here because I have not really sang this specific song myself. So I'm going to try and sing along a little bit and just demonstrate how the voice can be affected. This is a Leonard Cohen tribute song, Who by Fire. All right, I'll just try and see if this is the same length. So what's cool about Leonard Cohen is that he had most of his verses, you know, really similar in style and length. So the first verse should just be fine here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put this on to where we're going to hear this voice coming through on the lead channel. So this is actually coming through instead of I'm on 11 over here, on the SMB7 microphone. Quite a nice mic for this. Now you're going to hear a double of me just for a moment because we're going to hear the channel from Ableton and then also the channel that I already have thrown out, but I'm going to take care of that. All right. Here we go. Okay. So now you guys have all the effects of this channel that you guys are hearing, right? So I can actually bring off some of these. All right, we can clean that up. If I want to use this for the vocal part, right, you can always re-engage, right? Re-enable automations. Re-enable automations, and then bring that back. Okay, let's try this out. All right. She's doing second verse. Let's try that. And I'm noticing I'm hearing the main voice, and because I brought this back in over here. So let's go ahead and just duplicate this channel and make sure that we are really on our own. And we're still hearing this side. This is a way for arrangement and session view to work together. Notice how wherever I am with my cursor, this is where the effects are, right? So another way of getting through some really unique effect usage. I'm going to go ahead and just put a loop on in an area that I know is completely clean from effects for the time being. Command L, it's in this area, just general. Let's go ahead and go from 9 to 17. All right, so I know this is all cleaned up. Loop is engaged right here. Ooh. All right, let's try this out. I haven't even sang the song. Pretending I'm Aaron Metke in this moment. Here we go, a little nervous. And who in her lonely slip, who by the charity, who in this realms of love, who by something blunt, who by an avalanche, who by powder, who for his greed, who for his hunger, who shall I say is calling? Oh. Boom. And it stopped right there at the very end. Let me go ahead and turn off these effects. So notice how my voice was was affected by that and the song. I'm going to go ahead and turn this up a little bit so you guys can hear me a little bit better. And if I even want more of that, I know that I have a gain staging over here. Let's go ahead and bring that up to a nice volume, hopefully not peaking anywhere else. And okay, so here we are in the song, and we're gonna just kind of mess around with that a little bit more. These all stopped. And in that moment, you want to actually go on to the next part of your song. In 11, it's the easiest, right? In 10, you have to actually automate each individual scene here. But on your master down here, you have the ability to adjust quite a bit, right? So that's where we're going to right now. See if I can get in there even more. All right, so as we're down here, we're gonna go and turn on a follow action. We're gonna go to the next track and we're gonna go action, next. And we have to make sure that we have the exact same amount of bars as we do in the song. I'm guessing it's 16, but I honestly do not remember. So what we could do here is to check that. Just go to our effect channel or any channel. And as you can see here, you can read how many bars there are. Look at, there's 12. 12 bars. Okay, I was off by a little bit. Let's go back to our master and go into where we were and zoom in so you guys can see what I'm doing over here. So instead of 16, we want 12. Okay. So this is where we want to get to the next part of the song. Kind of a cool thing is that I can actually do effects while I'm doing the show now, since I'm inside the box of Ableton. I'm not giving any other vocals to you from my audio interface. If I did, there would be a little bit of a millisecond delay that you would hear, but with only hearing one source, it's so small that you can't really tell that it's happening otherwise. And that's how it happens for a live show as well. You don't want to give your audio interface direct sound if you're using the effects in Ableton. Little helpful hint there. Okay, so this is our verse, and then right after that verse, we had a bridge part that we just started to kind of get some automations going on for. We already did some of our work by creating our effects all channel. And let's just go ahead and see what these are doing. So we have Beat Masher in the very beginning doing something, and then we also have our fade to gray doing something. Okay, so this is our bridge. I'm going to copy our fade to gray into our specific channel. Notice I'm on fade to gray first, and oh, we actually have to bring this down or put a new one in. Okay, another copy feature. Paste over here. As a matter of fact, better yet, let's go ahead and copy this whole scene over and do all of our work that we just did before on the other track, which is start to finish. We want all of these loops to be one length, so cutting it, and then Command J. I'm going to give you my voice just for a little while here back on the regular as it does this, because it does cut this out. This is why, all right, you don't want that to happen on your voice. Otherwise, there we go. Okay, so some automations came in here because that's what was on the chain in specific moments, right? Over here in the bridge. So those can also be, right, those are going to be copied and pasted over. So I'm going to go Command C and coming all the way to the beginning. Notice how we have our all channel now. So right next to that, starting on our Sam Hip Hop bass and pasting that in all the way across. Taking our guitar and just having that dummy channel there. And we are in our fade to gray. Okay, back to where we were again. Notice how we go into fade to gray, show automation. There it is. We are in our bridge, copy and paste. And we want to put that into our automation on our effects channel. Same thing with our next part, which is Beat Masher. Okay, it's grayed out right now because it's saying that it's unengaged. Let's go ahead and re-enable so we can kind of see what it is. Zooming in, it's doing some crazy stuff in the very beginning and it doesn't quite do anything. I'm a little worried that that's kind of not where I want it, but we can figure that out later, right? You can always customize this more once you bring it into your area over here. So here we are. And we have our bead masher. Boom. So now, when we are working on this, when I turn this on, it's going to start cutting up everything through this right away. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this out from the very first verse in. And I'm going to re-enable my effects here just because it'll make it a little bit more wet and easy for me to sing over this, not stand out all awkwardly. All right, so here we go. Re-enable. Ooh, that's a 3.5 millisecond delay. And then some little bit of delay. Let's go ahead and turn that long or shorter. It's like a 2.3 reverb as well on. Here we go. Notice how the automation is going to switch to the bridge. Okay, here we go. And I'm just going to try the first verse here. All right, we have our vocals back because we are way over here. That's kind of fun. Wherever your mouse is, you guys will hear that. So we're going back to our clean area, just loop in that section. And we don't want that vocal. There we are. Rename this so we know what's going on. That's me. And who by fire, who by water, who in the sunshine, who in the nighttime, who by a high ordeal, who by common trial, who in your memories, who by very slow decay, who shall I say is calling. Lonely slips and I find this is bitten up into gold. You know that this beat keeps changing and I know this is so slow. Finding what you do in the same direction. You could do the best of this if you just keep going on. I would just say it is enough to be sold on. And it stops. Check a 1 1 1 1. What's kind of cool is your effects channel. Let's go ahead and turn off all of my delays. Okay, so your effects channel can be on a loop where everything else, notice how something is still turned on here, right? And this is where we really want to make sure things completely turn off at the end of some effects. And you can even see that. It's a fade to gray that was turned on. And at the very end, it was just a little bit higher than we want. Looks like we did turn it off. But anyway, we found where that is. You can put this on loop. And as you're putting this on loop, you are able to have your track possibly turn off and then go into playing with your effects and where they come in and out, right? With maybe a vocal part. I'm just going to have an example of that where I'm going to have some of these be on loop mode. Okay. I'm going to have my beatboxing on loop and I'm going to have, let's see, this bass also on loop mode. So that means that they're going to continue on as well as my effects will continue on, but everything else is going to stop. Actually, let's go ahead and put the guitar to loop as well. So that means the backing vocals are going to purposely stop after that first time. This is a way that in a bridge, you can actually go, that's like two parts of your song, right? It might be a bridge into the breakdown, okay? And we might want to say that in our title, right? Bridge to breakdown. All right, let's go ahead and just try this again. I'm going to go ahead and turn my effects on. So we have that nice wetness and beginning from that same verse. And who by fire, who by water, who in the sunshine, who in the nighttime, and who by a high ordeal, who by common trial, who in your merry, merry month of May, who by a very slow decay, who shall I say is calling. And change. This is just the way that we keep going to the beat, and we're changing to the bridge. I don't know what we're gonna see, but I know that we got fade to gray on, coming on and off with the sounds that we do. I can also automate it with your own things. You can keep it going when you take another drink. So keep it going when you want to. Keep it going when you want to. Say, keep it going when you want to. This is just the way. Turn it on one more time. Yo, oh, 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 oh. Notice how it just broke down, and we still have our effects going, right? So we can still have what we're doing here and continue our jam. Hey, 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 this is all I see. Come out and say what you need. Say what you need. Right? So you can easily have one or the other take over. Now notice how my vocals all have some effects on it too. Depends on what you really want to do, right? How many effects, how complicated do you want this to be? This right now is pretty complicated. I'm saying this is more in like the songwriting phase. When you get into the performance phase, it's just going to be your stereo track coming down and your automations for that track possibly, and your live effects for your instruments you're playing, your vocals. If you're doing live looping, okay, that's another thing that we are going to get into. I've been talking about this. This is number 2 of 4 little previews here that I'm doing through October. So if you want to see that, all of that, go to our YouTube page and click on our playlist for West Coast Wednesdays at 11 a.m. It's all there. So what we want to do is have an area where we might want to loop. Notice how I'm on this channel right here. I also want to have a few. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this a few times. Now what this does is this allows me to essentially have some play on some options here. I'm going to go Command I. Let's see if I can do this. Yep. So a few extra scenes. Now, I don't want to record my voice while I'm singing over the top of these specific verses, but I do want to be able to record them at some point. So I'm going to add stop buttons here. All right. So this is where we can kind of get into it, where we're able to sing over the top of this. And I can loop any part of my voice. My effects are still coming on and off. It's pretty random right now, but it's showing that you can automate your effects so you can play your instrument specifically for your set, right? And if we put our click track in our ear, let's go ahead and put that in the same channel so we all hear it. Okay, so this would be in my headphones at a live show, not to the audience, on a separate cue out. Make sure that your audio interface has that. And then we can try and start doing a little bit of a loop. So you guys actually couldn't hear my voice until I changed over to this other channel, right? And that's because once you play a track here and you're only having your audio coming through that channel, it's gonna play this audio, right, from your scene right here instead of your live audio, okay? And for better and for worse, it's gonna help you, you have to learn that in Ableton, right? For better, it actually kind of makes it to where things don't get too chaotic and you switch over to the next channel to record. If you have a push 2, it's really easy to switch over. You can automate that on your Akai MPK Mini, etc. Now. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. So I quantize that, and notice how I quantized it right here. It looks like it's to grid in a good way, and it's still sounding decent because I'm in complex mode. I might as well give a preface to this that if your settings are off, right, in your preferences, you're going to have some issues with quantization and things just kind of sounding computerized when you don't want it to be, right? Have some, you can purposely make it sound computerized, but so instead of being in beat mode here, I'm in complex mode, right? And I like Complex Pro specifically for looping and quantizing my instruments just because it has less of that glitchy sound to it. And here we go. Notice how it tried to record right away because this is in record mode and I'm on this channel right here, right? So that's another way that you can kind of simplify your set is that you can instantly record, and that's also a setting in your preferences, right? When you record warp mode, right? And you exclusive arm, solo, select on launch and start recording on scene launch. Those are enabled, right? For different scenarios, I turn that on and off for whichever show that I'm doing. The more of a looping show that I have a specific instrument like a push 2, I might turn that off and press it with my hand or such instead. So it just really depends on what you're doing for your show. So let's go ahead and try this out again. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to stop all. Here's our stop all function right here. If you have a push, shift, stop clip also does that. I'm going to start up here on the verse again, and this will be the last thing that I do today. If you like what you see here, please come out to our Tuesday Beer and Beats meetup every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's in North Oakland and online. So that's our Bay Area studio, Soul Graffiti Studios. You can come in there. We're asking people to be vaccinated that come to the studio. We've been wearing masks in person at the studio, so playing that safe still. And we are doing in-person and online classes, and the Beer and Beats is in person and online. The online classes are via Zoom. So check that out when you can. I am doing some special sessions on Ableton Live and looping and effects, which is kind of what I'm talking about here, but up here in Grass Valley. So if you are in the area, come check it out sometime. Let's see what else. Contact us, 510-463-GROW. 510-463-GROW. And I'm going to go out with just playing around with this little live area, right? And adding in these when I want to. Let's go back into, I'm going to make sure that my push is kind of in the area that I want. Right, so that orange area is showing where my push is actually showing up. Great. All right, everyone. I often like to kind of close up this vocals all too and kind of keep it clean, right? But it's also in record mode. I don't want to record that one just yet. I'm not going to do any live looping, so I'll just take that off. And now that record mode turns into a play stop. So that way I can actually use that. If you guys want to do special colorizations as well, you can do that with your push very easily by pressing shift and then that specific scene and then changing the color, right? And it changes it to the same color on your computer as well. Kind of nice little setup. Okay, enough of that. Let's try this out. I want some more effects on my voice. I forgot about that. One more thing. Here we go. Here we go. And who by fire, who by water, ooh, in the sunshine, ooh, in the nighttime, ooh, by a high ordeal, ooh, by a common trial, ooh, in your merry month of May, ooh, by a very slow decay, ooh, shall I say, is calling. Round in the brave ascent and be, who by an accident solitude tree in this mirror of who this lady command, who is her own hand and who is the mortal chain to who in the power and who shall I say is calling, 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 oh. A little bit loud here, bring that down. And this one too. I think about these days when I came from oil on a water and I walked. And who by a brave ascent, who by an accident, who by solitude, who by this mirror, who by his lady command, who by his own hand, who in a mortal chains, who in power of, who shall I say is calling me, who shall I say is calling me, calling me, calling me, oh. Yes. All right. So we had our click on the entire time there. We also have some effects still on. All right. So this is something that if you're at a live show, you really want to make sure that boom, fade to gray is entirely off so you can get back into talking. You can also have one of your automations right here could literally be, you can put it right here and say, this is like, I want all my effects to be off, off, off. Right. So when I click on this and I go effects down, right? And that's automated off now. And you can do that with each one. Let's see, fade to gray, beat masher, select all, down, just like that. So now you know that it's still there engaged because let's go ahead and re-enable this one. And it's saying that it's actually on. Dun, dun, dun. We want that to be off. So anyway, when I click on this, boom, that actually does it, right? So it's saying, I want it off, off. You can press on that, and that can be like your 100% all effects off. Thank you guys so much for being here at West Coast Wednesdays. My name is Justin Ancheta from SF Garnish Music Production and Soul Graffiti Studios. We'll see you again in the near future. Take care.